Hi everyone, hope you're having a great day and enjoying the sunshine. We've been talking about social skills and friendship skills, and I thought just to take a little side trip, I thought we would talk today a little bit about siblings and how to help your kids get along. And I know some of you have only one child, but these things can be helpful too in your child's relationship with the daycare kids or their cousins. So hopefully you can use some of these ideas in other ways, even if they don't have a sibling. So sibling relationships are amazing because there's a lot of positive things that can happen besides the fighting. So some of the positive things are, those older siblings teach the younger ones skills. They learn, it seems like those children that come along after the first one learn things so quickly. And part of that is they're learning from someone who is more their peer. And we have found in education that kids learn so much from their peers, good and bad. So they're learning a lot from their siblings, and partly because they're the same age, they're the same size, it's easier to compare themselves to their siblings or their playmates at daycare or their cousins. Older siblings can give those younger ones a sense of security and help them be more independent. The younger siblings will try and keep up with those older kids. And like I mentioned earlier, they may learn skills sooner because they have that example right there. Older siblings can feel very confident and important and proud that they are able to help their younger siblings. And one thing that's unique to the sibling situation, it's 24-hour chance to learn how to negotiate and resolve conflicts, because there will be conflicts living together, and they've got that person they can practice with, and they can't discard them like friends. They can decide to not go play with a friend, but they can't kick their siblings out. They learn to recognize each other's feelings. If you have boys and girls, they learn about boys and girls from each other. And they have a common experience that they can always share. They'll have some memories that are unique to them. They're the only ones that share that memory with them. And oftentimes our sibling relationships will be the longest relationship in your life because they knew you from the beginning. And certainly they can be playmates. And then also, when there's more than one child, the children learn that the world doesn't revolve around them, that they have to share. So they're kind of forced into it. So there are a lot of positive things about siblings. Having siblings or good friends or going to daycare or having cousins that are much like siblings. But why do they fight? You think, why can't they just be friends? Well, for one thing, they're together a lot. Their personalities might clash, their temperaments. They might take, especially the older ones, might take out their frustrations on their younger siblings. It's a safer target than the parents, maybe, for example. Maybe they fight to get your attention. Maybe there's some favoritism going on between the parents and the kids, and so that can ignite tension between the children. If one child feels like the other child is getting a better deal, it could cause some resentment. Sometimes they copy us. When parents fight, they fight. And of course, all those other things that young children can set off negative behavior, things like being tired or hungry or bored. Sometimes they just get in a fight because of those reasons. Sometimes they're together too much. And then with younger children especially, they don't have the problem-solving skills yet to work out conflicts and with their siblings. So they don't have those social skills yet that we talked about. Maybe they're not that good at sharing yet, taking turns. And so they don't have those skills. They don't have, they don't understand boundaries maybe. They don't understand how to deal with their feelings yet. So having a sibling around to practice on may be hard on parents, but it in the long run can be very helpful. So what can you do to promote positive relationships with your children? One suggestion that I found helpful when my children were little was to ignore the minor stuff. Just try and ignore it. Let them fight, figure it out. And certainly, like most behaviors, if we can stay calm and not overreact, or get involved too soon, a lot of times those minor things they can figure out for themselves. Another suggestion is to separate the kids if they're having difficulty. Just don't get into whose fault anything is. Just say, well, I think it's time that you two need a break. You go play here and you go play there. Try not to get caught in the middle. Maybe offer a suggestion and then leave the room and let them work it out. So you might say, well, you can't share that toy. Maybe we should use a timer. I'll let you figure it out. And then you leave and see what happens. Another thing that can make fighting or can instigate fighting is if you're comparing your kids especially in front of them. I mean, we all compare our kids. It's just the way it is. That's human nature. But if you can avoid doing that in front of them and saying, well, he's your brother's better at that, let him do it, that's going to build up resentment. And then they're going to end up fighting because of it, because they resent each other. Don't try and use the age card a lot. Don't say to the older child all the time, oh, you should know better, you're older. That can also ignite resentment. And certainly we are going to do that once in a while, because you do expect a child who's older to have better skills. But the idea is that we don't expect too much of those older kids, and we don't use that all the time to take care of issues, because they're going to start resenting that younger child. Try and come up with things they can do together that they enjoy. And then especially spend one-on-one time with each one separately, so they each get their time with you, so they don't have to fight for your attention. You can model positive relationships with your siblings if you have them, or your friends if you don't. And you can even point that out, that, oh yeah, I was upset with my friend, but she said she's sorry, and we're okay now. Certainly praising when they do play together appropriately, and then help teach them skills like negotiating and trading and waiting for a turn, and some of those other skills we talked about in our earlier last week and the week before. Also have clear family rules about it, that you can be upset with your brother or your sister, but you can't hit, or you can't take their things, or whatever the rule is. That's their toy, and it's up to them to decide when to share, if that's going to be your rule. And discourage tattling as much as possible. Be realistic that there is going to be fighting. It's normal. It's very normal, and hopefully they'll learn from it. And then make sure you plan for the times when there is more fighting. Maybe it's when everybody's hungry or tired, and so maybe you make a plan. Maybe that's the time you pull out the video and say, okay, now we're gonna have a movie together. You two are gonna have a movie while I'm making supper. And then for sure, as we talked about with feelings, acknowledge the feelings. Help them voice their feelings. I see. It looks like you're really angry with your brother. Are you angry? Are you mad at your brother or your sister? Help them use their words, and celebrate each uniqueness that each person in the family has, not just the children, the adults too. And then also celebrate some of the things they have in common. Well, you both have brown eyes, like Dad. Celebrate those things that they have in common. And certainly respect each other's personal boundaries. If one does not like to wrestle and the other one does, they need to respect each other's boundaries. That you can wrestle with Dad maybe, but not your little sister. She doesn't like that. And try and find things that the whole family can enjoy together. That builds relationships. And one topic that comes up a lot with siblings is fairness. It's not fair that she got this, or that I didn't, or I had to do this. And then that's where we might pull out the, well, you're older, you card. And children do need to learn that fairness is not always equal. What one child needs is different. And that's one thing we used with our kids. We would say it might not look like it's fair, but it's what that sibling needs. You don't need that right now. And sometime you will need something else and they won't need it. So fairness isn't always equal treatment exactly. And if your children start to learn that, that's helpful in the future. So those are just a few ideas about siblings, or like I say, it could be used to think of relationships kids have at daycare or with cousins or good friends or good neighbors. It's much like sibling relationships. So I hope those have been helpful, and please share any stories or suggestions you have about siblings and how to get along. And certainly we can learn from our past, if we're past life when we were growing up with our siblings, and hopefully remember what was good and what was bad about that, and carry on the things that you thought were valuable. So I hope you have a good day, and I will be posting probably another couple videos that if you're interested you can look at, a YouTube video on sibling relationships. And I hope you have a good week, and we will see you next week. Thanks.